Hello, hello, hello. How are you this lovely? It's a rainy day where I'm at, but it's still a lovely day here on a Thursday, January 20th. It's my sister's birthday, although she does not announce it on Facebook, so I won't say her name. But welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. I am Carol C.C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger. I haven't been able to do global hugs for a while, but hopefully it's coming up this year. And Peace Activator Global Hugger coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life Chats, where the intention and attention is to focus on ways to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows through a positive focus. So let me know where you're joining me from in comments. I am currently on the Gulf Coast. I'm normally in Chicago. But I'm taking a month for it's definitely warmer than Chicago. Chicago is in the middle of winter right now. So it is a little on the chilly side for where I'm at, but it's still a lot warmer than where I'm usually at, and it's beautiful. So welcome, step in, let me know where you're joining me from, and also let me know if you're new to my Facebook Lives or to my work. I always like being able to welcome in new people too. But before we get started on today's topic, I do like to say a couple of things on who I am and also welcome anybody who's new to the Embrace Your Life community, which is it's much smaller group than this page on, um, it's a group here on Facebook. So it's the new people today. And thought, yeah, I knew I wrote them down. Lori, Donna, Dawn, Laura, Natasha, Daisy, Becky, and Lynn. Welcome to Embrace Your Life. I did put that link at the top, so if you want to join that community, I ask a couple of questions just to make sure we keep the spammers out. I truly am incredibly lucky and grateful that I don't get a lot of spamming on this page, but it does happen from occasion. So I like to try to keep it as clean as possible to make sure that you're getting information to help support you in living your best life and not people trying to scam you in living your best life. Um, Welcome, Jenny, who's a newbie. Hi. I just want to caveat this, and I'm not always good at pronunciations of name. Mayada from Sweden, Robin from Des Moines, Iowa. I have a good friend who lives in Des Moines. Sajid from Karachi, and Christopher's new to the group. So welcome everybody. It's good to have you here. And I also want to say the system I use, sometimes I don't see comments until later. So I want to make sure that if I'm missing you, I apologize. I do come back and look later as well. But thanks for being here. And a couple things I like to share before we get started is one is that I'm not an absolutist. I'm not a big fan of the words always or never, right, wrong, good, bad. There are 7 billion people on this planet. I can't begin to say what's always right for 7 billion people. So, what I do for my personal life and with the coaching clients that I work in is with a scale of 0 to 100, and 0 being always negative, 100 being always positive. My work, what I live, breathe, write, speak, coach on is about positivity. I am not 100% of the time positive, nor am I 100% of the time kind, loving, or compassionate. But because that is a daily practice, I am that the majority of the time. So I work on majority rather than it being an absolute. There are things that I don't know of examples where being kind isn't the right thing to do. But again, 7 billion people, I can't begin to say it's 100% right for everyone. So I work on um, the majority of the time. And my majority is saying 80 to 100% of the time being loving, kind, compassionate, and peaceful. That's to myself. That's to other people. That's to other people that I may disagree with or not even like. Who do I want to show up in life and who do I want to be day by day by day? That means fear visits me, frustration visits me, disappointment visits me, anger, all of those normal emotions visit me, but they don't last as long because of my daily practices to stay feeling better and focusing on what I want in my life rather than what I don't want. So that's the main thing that I like to share with people that if you're working with me individually or just here on Facebook, I will say the word always on occasion, but it's rare because I don't really believe in much being an always situation. And then secondly, I like to tell people I'm a coach. I love supporting people on living their best life, whatever that looks like, and creating that life with them. I am not a counselor nor am I a therapist. And sometimes people need that type of support to live their best life. So, whatever support you need to live your best life, I highly encourage you to seek it out because you're worthy of it and create that support system around you to be able to do that and live your best life. So, with those two things out of the way, and I've welcomed in new members, we're going to get started here. I'll check really quick, and I will come into comments later. But if I start looking right now, then I will lose track of what I want to talk about today. Sherwood, Oregon is in the house. So, welcome everyone. It's another thing I love about this community is generally each time there are people from it's bringing us all together, and I appreciate that. But today's topic, I wanted to talk about disappointment. Again, I talk about positivity, kindness, love, and compassion. That is my guiding light. That's my North Star. That's what I want to help people focus on. But with that, disappointment comes, fear, frustration, all of those things come up. So, how are we going to move through disappointment? And because my work is what it is, you would think I don't have disappointment. I certainly have disappointment. I just don't let it overtake me. As a matter of fact, I just recently had a disappointment that I'm in the Gulf Coast of the panhandle of Florida right now. And as I drive back to Chicago at the end of the month, there is a peace museum, a peace and justice museum that I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to stop in there for a couple hours on my way back. It's closed on Monday, the day that I'll be traveling. So I was disappointed because I've been looking forward to going to it for a few years now. And I'm so close. I'm 3.5 hours from where I am right now that it just made sense to make it part of this journey. It's not going to work out this time. I will visit another time, or something may change in the next 10 days that allows it to happen now. But I was disappointed to realize that here, this had been my plan since I decided to be here, that it wasn't going to work out that way. Now, that's a minor disappointment. Some people are going through major disappointment. So please know it's a scale. There's not a right or wrong way to move through disappointment. It's about how it's impacting your life personally and what you're going to do with it. So the word disappoint is what we're working with today. And the definition is to fail to meet a hope or expectation. So wait, it's to fail to meet a hope or expectation. If I did not expect or hope to do that trip, it being closed wouldn't have bothered me whatsoever because it wasn't something I expected to happen or hoped for it to happen. So when you keep that in mind, then that's going to help you determine how to move through the expectation or the disappointment of expectation as well. And I love to work with affirmations. An affirmation is simply a statement. It's not a right or wrong statement, it's just a statement. It's not positive or negative except for how you perceive it. So it's a statement of I am smart. That would be a positive statement. I am stupid would be a negative statement, but it's to help replace those self-talk thoughts that we've had, or any kind of back historical thoughts that have come into our heads from our teachers, our parents, our friends, many of them well-meaning, but we have taken it in a way of not being enough and not good enough. So the more we can affirm what we want, the more we can affirm who we truly are, not who we may be afraid that we are, then we're going to grow that space in us and allow us to start making decisions on hearing positive self-talk. So the affirmation I came up with today is I choose to see love in all situations. So when I'm disappointed, when I'm frustrated, when I'm angry, if I take a moment and breathe, it's like, okay, I'm feeling this right now, but I choose to see the love in that moment as well. So I hope that makes sense. And I encourage you to create an affirmation that works for you. If that doesn't work, come up with something else. If you say right now, I choose to see love in all situations, and 5 minutes ago you weren't at all in a loving space, which happens, then you might want to say, I'm in the process of choosing to see love in all situations. And even the statement, I choose to see love in all situations, in the moment of frustration, in the moment of disappointment, in the moment of anger, you're in that space of frustration, disappointment, anger. So you're not seeing the love. But the more you practice it, the more that you're going to mitigate the disappointment, mitigate the anger and frustration, and move back into a better feeling thought. Again, it really depends on how big the disappointment is. Mine's a fairly minor disappointment. I can go to this museum on another day. It's not like it's closed forever and I can't get there. I just planned and expected to do it this trip. So it's not something that's impacting me for a long time. And we're going to get into that when we get into the tips as well. So, no, whatever you're going through right now that's disappointing, you might want to ask yourself, is this a big disappointment or is this something that I can move through pretty quickly? It's not a right or wrong how you move through it. It's how you want to feel and how you want to show up in life for yourself and for those around you and for the world at large. So we're going to get into the tips. If you've been with me before, you know that one of my big ones is to feel it. I think a lot of people think being positive is to live in not reality and think that things are rainbows and puppy dogs all the time, which would be fabulous, but I don't believe that to be true. For me, focusing and living in positivity is about feeling what I'm feeling and also knowing that I can feel a little bit better and to acknowledge and be aware of it. Our fear, our frustration, our anger, all of those things want to be heard as well. It's how you allow yourself to listen to it. How do you act upon those emotions is where the importance for me comes. I still get angry. Now, I'm not a yeller. That's just never been my way. So when I'm angry, I'm not out there yelling at people or yelling at myself. I tend to internalize it more. But if you're a yeller, you still expressing it as something that's important, but think about how you're expressing it. When you're yelling at somebody, are they able to listen? I know when people yell at me, I've shut down. I'm either thinking about what I'm going to say to defend myself, or I've shut down and I'm not even listening. So they may have some actual words that I need to hear that maybe I did something that really hurt their feelings or made them angry. But if you're yelling at me, I'm not listening to that anymore. So it's really about coming with ways that I can hear it, you can hear it. So ask yourself, how do you handle if somebody is yelling at you? If that's your mode, does it's not a right or a wrong. It's just the way that you move through feelings that are heavier feelings. So then get it out of your body. So if you're disappointed about something, get it out of your body. Cry if you need to. Tears are very healing. Write it down and shred it. Do something that's productive to get it out of your system. A lot of times, especially if we're new to trying to work on self improvement, or I don't even really like that term, but we think that we have to pretend it doesn't exist and ignore it. I've not found that to work. It usually comes back at another date, maybe even a little stronger. It's okay, again, to be angry. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be scared or worried. All of those things are normal. It's how much attention and how much energy do you want to give to those heavier feelings. So write them down, get rid of them, shred it, go for a walk, do something to get yourself out of that feeling, out of those emotions out of your body. And then the next tip is to limit your time with it. Again, it depends on how big the disappointment is, but no, you can feel bad about it for a while, but how deep are you going to get into that? Because when we're in that hurt, frustration, angry phase of disappointment, we're probably not focused on solutions. We're probably not seeing possibilities or learning what we might learn from this experience. We're in the how did this happen to us? Why did this happen to us? And that is okay to experience, but limit your time there. Be aware of how you feel and aware of how you want to feel. If we keep replaying those tapes of being hurt by someone and being disappointed by someone, which I have done, trust me, I've done that, then it keeps me stuck in that space of that hurt, that disappointment. It keeps me in that energy of the disappointment. And I suspect the majority of times, not all the time, but I suspect the majority of times when people disappoint you, it's not intentional. If when it's intentional, it's a different thing to work through. But generally, it's disappointing to you because you're taking it in a different way than they may have even meant it, or it's just not the right timing. So allow yourself to feel sad, hurt, frustrated, disappointed, but ask yourself, how long do I need to be here? Some things, being aware of it can be a quick shift, like my experience with not being able to go to this museum. It, I mean, I'm still slightly disappointed about it, but it does not impact me. It does not keep me in that space of disappointment. I realize I probably should have looked at the calendar before I thought I was going to be able to purchase a ticket for that event. I just assumed I could. So it was an easy thing for me to get over. A bigger disappointment, a friendship ending, or something like that, it takes longer to get over that. But know that you can and you can move through it. That disappointment may stay with you, but it won't hold the same energy that it did when it first happened to you. And then ask yourself, what did you gain or learn from that experience? Because the more you think about um, what came out of it, may be good, and maybe the good is you learn more about yourself in it. It may not necessarily be a good outcome on what you wanted it to be, but you learn how you handle difficult situations. That could be one of the outcomes of learning from it. The more that we stay in the experience, the more we are staying in a disempowering space where, again, I rarely when we're in that space are we coming up with solutions. We're stuck in that heavier energy, and just figure out how long you could be in that energy before it consumes you. And the bigger the disappointment, the easier it is to be consumed by it. I'm not negating that some of these experiences are hard to get out of, but they are possible to move through. And it may be that it stays with you for a long time, but again, the energy won't stay with you for long. I'm a big believer that grief never goes away, but the heavy energy of the initial grief lessens and dissipates, and then that heavy energy goes away. I will miss my mom forever, but it's not the same impact as it was 3 years ago when it happened. So keep in mind, disappointment may stay with you, but it won't hold that same power over you as it does when it initially happens. Then be gentle with yourself. Like, you can practice and practice and practice and practice, and I hope you do have a daily practice on love, kindness, compassion, and peace for yourself, for your loved ones, for the world at large. You're not going to get it right all the time. That's why I have my scale of 0 to 100. So when I'm in the 80 to 100% of the time, I'm in the celebrating what I'm doing and what I'm focused on. When I go below that, I need to be gentle with myself and move back into feeling a little bit better. One of my big go-tos is a daily, and sometimes it's more than once a day, especially if I get frustrated or I'm disappointed. It's like, who do I want to be right now? Who do I want to show up as in this world? And I want to show up with love, kindness, compassion, and peace in this world. That's my purpose and passion. That may not be yours. So, whatever you're here to show up as, I encourage you to look at it and know what that is, because the more you know your values and your core mission, then you can rely on that when you're in those harder places, because that's when you really need to dig in deep, is when you're going through a challenge. When things are, you know, rainbows and puppy dogs, it's pretty easy to stay in a positive state of mind then. And then look for new opportunities. So maybe this particular thing didn't work out and you're disappointed. I have a couple of friends that I know they're in new job situations or looking for new jobs. And that it's kind of like dating, it's until you find the right one, it can be very frustrating and disappointing. So look for new opportunities, whether it's within whatever has disappointed you, and you can look at new ways to create a new way about it, or you're looking for new opportunities to create something new that's not even the same as that, but is something that you're hopeful for about and you're looking forward to, and focusing more on what you want rather than what you don't want. So when you're in that disappointment phase and you're thinking about what's hurt you or disappointed you, I encourage you, feel it, not pretending it didn't happen. Don't negate that somebody might have hurt your feelings, but ask yourself, who do you want to be? How do I want to feel? And what do you want in your life? If you're disappointed right now, probably doesn't feel good. How can I feel a little bit better? And that could be writing it down. It could be crying it out. It could be going for a walk. It could be looking for a new opportunity, like this path wasn't mine. What other path could be mine? It's not a right or wrong to be disappointed. I don't know. I don't know of anybody who's not been disappointed. And maybe out of 7 billion people, there's somebody in the world that never has been. But my guess is the vast, vast majority of us have gone through disappointment at some time, and it's how much attention and energy you want to give to it. Still encourage you to feel it. It wants to be heard, it wants to be acknowledged, but don't let it take over and run your life for you. So I hope these tips helped on moving through disappointment. I'm going to come into comments and see if there's any questions. And again, I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 11:30 Chicago time. So if you have another topic that you would like me to talk about to bring a little bit more love, kindness, compassion, and peace, and I feel like I have something to say about it, I would love to add that to a future conversation. So let me see. Uh, Hello, Lavette from Sherwood, Oregon. Stephanie, Emmanuel, do you believe it's oh wait, my comments sometimes hide from me here. Do you believe it's possible to love even when all odds are against you? Emmanuel, I would love for you to give me a little bit more information on that. Although I will say, without knowing more information, love is always possible. The way I operate through life is my love is unconditional. My conditions come with participation. So even though you're saying with everything against you, I can still love the situation. I can still love the person, and yet because of conditions, I can't participate in it. So for me, love is unconditional. My conditions come with how I'm going to participate with someone, whether it's they're full on in my life, whether I lessen my time with them, or whether I have to have them very distant in my life or not at all in my life. Because when I am in their presence or they're in mine, it's not just me; it's a two-way street. um, we tend to not focus on love in those situations. So I hope that helped. But if you have a little bit more on what you're talking about, I'd be happy to address that. Hi, I hope I say it right. Ina from Pakistan, welcome. Sylvia, good to see you. And Steve is here from Germany. So I don't see any other. Can we have a conversation about the topic, how to stop being a people pleaser? Ooh, that's a good one. Let me write that down and we'll cover that next week. I'm gonna have to use my highlighter. I can't find my pen. Because you hear people saying being a recovering people pleaser. I am certainly, that has been something I have dealt with for many, many, many years. So that will be a great topic. And I kind of have a slightly different spin on it too. So I look forward to that. So hopefully you'll come back. Unless Unless a new topic comes up that is more that I need to say on Tuesday, that will be Tuesday's topic. Let's see here. Lisa, it's freezing in Ohio. Well, disappointments are obstacles to be worked around. They are not the end. Excellent point, Sylvia. And I would say some could be the end. For example, and this is, again, this is not a critical example, but on my bucket list was to meet Desmond Tutu. He just passed away a few weeks ago, like the end of the year. Um, he lived in Africa. I live in Chicago. He is an elder man who is also a famous elder man, and COVID. Like, I saw no way that that was going to happen, and yet I still wanted it to happen. He passed away, so I'm disappointed about it, and that is an end. He has passed away. Does it impact the rest of my life? Does it impact me today? No, but it was still disappointing that I did not get that chance to meet him. So some of your disappointments will be finite, and that's okay. It's about moving forward into looking at different ways and how you want to. Maybe I've actually looked at my bucket list even closer now on what is really, really important for me to do more inspired action toward it because of missing that opportunity. Now, to be fair to me, that opportunity was really small because, again, famous, lives in Africa, older man, COVID, all those things. But it was still something that was important to me because he played a big impact on my life. So know that it's okay for things to sometimes actually, it is an end, and figure out ways to move forward from there. It was -8 in Iowa. Okay, Robin, you keep those temperatures there, please. Okay, Lisa, you feel like you're a disappointment to your mom. So I talked about disappointment more from a personal aspect today, but maybe we should cover it as us being a disappointment to others. What do you think about that? Do you think that that would be a good conversation? Because at the end of the day, Lisa, we only have control of ourselves. We have control of what we say and what we do, and sometimes it doesn't feel like we have control. But if we stop and breathe and think before we speak and act, we have control over that. What we don't have control over, darn it, is how other people take it, how other people perceive it. And I don't know that your mom was disappointed in you, but if you feel she was, that's the important part, because we don't have control over how she acted or thought about you, only how you felt she acted. That's what you have control over. So I would encourage you to think about um, that, and maybe we should cover it in another topic. The only thing I would encourage you to also think about is to think about her background and where she came from. People can only be as good and healthy as they allow themselves to be. So if she truly was disappointed in you, which I'm not saying she was, think about her, where her background came from. This museum that I wanted to go to, Brian Stevenson is, never met him, but he's one of my mentors, and he deals with racial inequality in the jail system. But he has mentioned, one of his things is like he's gone into these jails and he's talked to, I think mostly men, but probably women too. And he's like, he's met people who shouldn't be in jail, and he's met people who absolutely should be because they've done horrendous things. And he said, when you listen to their backstory of what brought them to that point, you can have mercy for them. You can have compassion for them. Doesn't mean they shouldn't be there for what they did, but when you know the backstory, you can see how they may have come up to that point. So I would encourage you to maybe think about your mom's backstory, and also be gentle with yourself, because my guess is she probably wasn't disappointed in you and you just felt that way. So I would ask yourself, what is it that you think that you could have or should have done differently to gain your mom's approval? But my guess is it was her own background and she was doing the best she could. How do you deal with someone who's always coming up with sarcastic? Oh, Patricia, we're going to talk about sarcasm. I'm just going to do that one because sarcastic humor used to be something I did myself. Um, so we will talk about that. But how do you deal with somebody coming up with sarcastic remarks? Okay, somewhat what we just discussed, Patricia. People can say, okay, I don't like it that way. People are going to say what they need to say. I fully believe words have power. And when I say something, I give it life. So I could say something sarcastic or mean and nasty to you, Patricia, and I can then apologize for it, but I've already given it life. However, the caveat of that is, even if somebody is being sarcastic, rude, mean, all those things in word form, it's still how we choose to take it, how it affects us. I am a word sensitive person, so I am the first person to admit rudeness, unkind thoughts and words hit me harder than most people. Because of my awareness, I don't allow them to hit me as hard. I just had somebody who I adore, um, in a meeting on Tuesday, say something that hit me as harsh. And I absolutely know she did not mean it as harsh. I took it as harsh. So be aware of how you're taking it and own your own power to not allow that person the ability to impact you with their sarcasm. Sarcasm, I mean, we're going to go into it that because it really does deserve its own time frame on that. Sarcasm is really hiding their own hurt in a funny way to make people laugh rather than saying this hurts. Can we talk about it? So that's my opinion. I am by no means a sarcastic expert. So let me know, Patricia, if that helps at all. Tafik, hello, welcome. I don't see any other comments here. So I think I will let you go for the day. Can we have a conversation around it? Yep, we got the people pleaser. Emmanuel, I did not see any more response to love. And again, sometimes these comments are hidden from me, so I may see them when I go back later today. And if I do, I will comment on them from there. But I think we're good to go for today. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope these little lives of heightening celebrations and lessening sorrows through a positive focus are helpful to you. If these conversations are helpful, I would appreciate it if you would share them with friends, invite other people into our community, and know that I love you and I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. We'll talk soon. Tuesday, we're going to be talking about people pleasing. And then I think we're going to deal next week also with sarcasm. But maybe some other topics will come up between now and then. Again, if you have other topics, please put them in comments and I will come back and look later today. Go out there and make your day wonderful. Make your day loving, kind, compassionate, and peaceful. We'll talk soon.